This is the Caltrans District 7 headquarters here in downtown Los Angeles. Completed in 2004 by Tom Main and his team there at Morphosis, this stands out for the rest of the government buildings that surround it. In this video, I'll be going over 5 key architectural elements that help visually separate it from other government buildings, 3 biographical points that help explain the design choices made, and finally 3 contextual points that help explain the mentalities, thought processes, and goals when the Caltrans District 7 headquarters was designed. Let's go. The first key architectural element is material, specifically glass, aluminum, steel, and concrete. The first thing many people notice is the uniform use of aluminum sheeting across a large majority of the building. But at first glance, many people don't notice that the aluminum sheets are actually perforated, which allow light and air to pass through them. Not only that, but there are windows that have automated hydraulic actuators that will open and push the sheets out depending on the sun angle, which lets in more light for the occupants and adds depth and motion to the people experiencing the building on the outside. A fun fact is that Tom Main intentionally chose this gray look for the building because it reflects the street and concrete that Caltrans used to design, build, and maintain for LA. Glass is another material that is used especially on the northern side and helps bring the eye upwards towards the building and allows people on the outside to look up and in and see what's going on the inside, which is an intentional choice by Tom Main and his team at Morphosis to give people that sense of transparency, especially since it's a government building, and allows people to look inside and see what's going on the inside. So in this front courtyard, Tom Main decided to bring some of the building down and its skin down using those 3 elements, which is the concrete, steel, and aluminum. You can see the aluminum perfect sheet comes off of the building, kind of waves and wrinkles out and over, and then makes its way across over to bring anyone who's walking through this little plaza here into the building to experience some of a taste of what the building has to offer. The second element is scale. This is not a small building that blends into the rest of the local government buildings. It's a massive towering structure that easily separates itself from classical California Spanish architecture. Its scale and proportions help emphasize that the activities and operations that are done in this building are not a small task and are crucial to the city's productivity. That idea here that big things happen in this building helps convey the idea that without proper infrastructure in California, many of our daily activities would not be possible. And I think that's something a lot of us take for granted, despite the fact that there's still plenty of potholes. The third element here is light. Tom Main took inspiration from the bustling, fast-moving streets and freeways of LA and decided to incorporate it into the front facade of the building. Technically, this isn't the front, it's more the entrance, because the entrance happens to be over there. But there's also this notion that government buildings should be a transparent place where citizens can look in and see what's happening. Tom Main took that literally and designed many portions of the building to be made with glass surrounding it, especially on the north side with an entire glass face where citizens can look up and look into the building. There's even that dedicated light bar I was talking about that Tom Main claims has the symbolic purpose of drawing the eye to the building, as well as aligning itself with the street and communicating with the cars below it. So anyone kind of walking underneath is going to be able to look up and feel like they're a part of the building and experiencing it. And those are direct words from a PBS SoCal interview he did. And it's also one of those things that it will light up at night and points at the Walt Disney Concert Hall. One part I particularly like is this inwards entrance area that has a encompassing light bar and neon setup of blue and red lights that will dynamically change throughout the day or at night. Obviously, they unfortunately are not on right now, but if they were on, you'd see that they'd be slowly fading on and off, kind of giving that look of what cars and brake lights and street lights look like when you're passing by on the freeway, or if you see cars passing you on the street or freeway, helping kind of emphasize and push that idea of what this building is about, but also a cool display. The fourth key architectural element is movement. And in this case, movement takes on a unusual form with this building. Rather than a typical definition being how the architect refers to the circulation on the inside of the building, the Caltrans District 7 HQ conveys it through its movement on the outside. For example, some of these hydraulic actuated windows, the ones I was talking about earlier, 2 of them are open right now. Last I was here, they were all closed. This entire face was closed. And unfortunately, even though that the sun is on the opposite side and more should be open, you've only got 2 open right now. But from the sun, depending on where the sun is, it will open up more and more of those windows. And I guess those 2 are just the only ones that got left open. And it's one of those ideas that most buildings don't have. Like, they don't have a responsive, moving portion of it that reacts to its environment. And Tom Main was one of those guys who had that revolutionary and groundbreaking idea to incorporate something like that for movement into this building here. The fifth element is time. This building interacts with time in a couple different ways. First is going to be how the sun angle affects the building. So on the south side, when it's got a lot of direct sun, it's going to close those flaps and make the facade look a little bit more flat. It's also going to highlight that gray aluminum skin, so it's going to make the building look a little bit different. When on this side, when the time of day is, like say earlier in the morning when the sun is low, most of these windows will be open. The aluminum skin isn't going to be as bright or hot, and so the building's not going to need to have that heat dissipated through the aluminum skin. The second point is how the glass on the building interacts with it, as well as the solar panels on the front or on the south side. When it's earlier in the morning, then the sun starts to come up, it's going to hit those solar panels and start generating energy for the building, as well as lighting up some of this glass, and it's going to bring in more light to the inside of the building. And then as it comes around later in the day, it's going to have these flaps on the outside close, which is going to let less light in and allow for the sun to dissipate its heat on the aluminum skin more rather than it going to the inside of the building. The first biographical point is Tom Main's experimental design history. He won the Pritzker Prize, which shows that his designs are not something that has been copied or made from other people, but one that he's intentionally done and created from his own. Basically, at this point in Tom Main's career, he's had a long-established revolutionary and experimental architecture portfolio, and this is just another one of those canvases that was a chance for him to try out new things. Try out how can I incorporate a light bar? How can I convey to the external people experiencing the building on the outside how the building, what its purpose is, and how, as a government building, it should look and function with interacting with the environment around it, especially with all the other government buildings out here. The second biographical point is Tom Main's deep connection to Los Angeles. He's done many projects here in LA, and it only made sense that from his expertise and skill and experience working on buildings that fit into the LA landscape, that he designed a building that would help perpetuate and continue the existence of the streets of here in LA, and that allow for more people to keep on moving and a place to house those minds so that things can keep running smoothly. The first contextual point is its location within Los Angeles. The Caltrans District 7 HQ is right next to some of the most central and important government buildings for Los Angeles County. It only makes sense that the placement of such an integral building for Los Angeles' efficiency and productivity is amongst similarly crucial buildings. And since it is in such a high traffic area, Tom Main and his team knew that it couldn't be another simple government building. It needed to bring a new appreciation to what Caltrans does, and it needed to respond to the older, more traditional government buildings around it. So Tom Main needed to come up with a new take for what a government building should look like in Los Angeles. The second conceptual point is what Caltrans does. Caltrans designs, builds, and maintains all the road infrastructure that we use in Los Angeles. And it was only fitting that Tom Main decided to use materials that reflect Caltrans' purpose amongst the LA urban landscape. Steel, concrete, aluminum, glass sometimes. Having a semi-brutalist, highly metallic, and concrete form was the perfect choice for a building whose materials support and sustains LA's busy traffic around it. The third contextual point was the increasing awareness for green and sustainable buildings in California. The Caltrans District 7 HQ was being built when those were big concerns for design and material choices being made. Tom Main and his crew found the perfect balance, was able to do both while using still good and sustainable resources, while also getting a really interesting and intricate design across. The building also received an LEED silver rating for how good of a job Tom Main and his crew at Morphosis did with designing this building to be eco-friendly and material conscious. So what? What can architecture students take away from this building? Well, it's a wonderful example of innovation and creativity through sustainability, clever material choices, dazzling light-based focal points, and experimental design choices that come together to expand the definition of what a government building can look and function like for a seemingly minor but highly crucial department of the government. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. And don't forget, check out the PBS SoCal interview that they did with Hugh Hauser for this building. Have a good day.